Well, it's our pleasure to be joined for another legislative report from State Senator Jason Crowell. And Senator, looking back on the week that was, I understand workman's comp was a big topic of discussion for you.
It was, Mark, both on the House side and the Senate side. We're taking a strategic evaluation of the reforms that we passed in 2005, and is often the case over a sustained period of time, like 5 or 6 years since those original reforms were made. Different changes need to be made as well to reflect different times. And the House and Senate brought up workers' compensation legislation this week. The House has one version that it would like to see move forward, but the Senate has a different perspective that I support as it relates to our treatment of occupational diseases attributable to toxic torts. And toxic torts are your mesothelioma, your silica, your asbestos, benzene poisoning in our area, some individuals that have worked at different employers and maybe over a period of time have been exposed to some noxious chemicals, solvents and stuff. And right now, those are under the workers' compensation statute, but we're finding that adequate remedies at law are not really available under work comp, and we would like to revisit that and make sure that employees that suffer those type of injuries are made whole, and that's what we were debating and taking care of in the Senate.
Still some ways to go before something gets worked together and put up for approval?
Yeah, this is just early February, so it's good to air these things out. House wants to make them all covered under workers' compensation, but because many individuals don't realize that while they're working, they were suffering from asbestos or silica or mesothelioma, I think the prevailing thought in the Senate is that those types of injuries should not be workers' compensation injuries. If they are, in fact, exposed to that, they should have the right to go to a court of law and air those disputes out and put on evidence within that court structure as opposed to the workers' compensation structure.
Missouri senators gave first-round approval to measures aimed at keeping existing businesses in Missouri and bringing new companies into the Show Me State. Senate Bill 18 and 19. Senate Bill 18 would cap the current tax at $2 million. Senate Bill 19 would phase it out completely over a 5-year period. They need another vote before moving on to the House. But did you like what these bills contained?
Yeah, what we have found is in Missouri we have what's called a corporate franchise tax. The corporate franchise tax is 1/30 of 1% of a corporation's overall assets. And what we have found is, because no other state around us has this tax, that when businesses are looking at making large capital investments, particularly in the manufacturing area, where in our neck of the wood, Procter & Gamble could put a new paper manufacturing assembly in line, that costs almost $400 million. That companies are telling us, you know what, we're going to locate that in another state because we don't want to pay this tax that no other state has. So what we've done is we've said, for economic development purposes and to make sure that we're competitive with our sister states, we're going to forego that tax for those large capital investments that move forward. We had already previously exempted any company under $10 million, so we took care of small businesses a couple years ago. But as time moves on and we're looking at the expansion of a new assembly plant in the Kansas City area for Ford, and we're looking at possibly attracting other manufacturing plants and upgrade for employee retention, this is just one of those taxes that was passed in the early 1900s that just doesn't make sense in today's economy.
And, Senator, looking ahead, what's the big topic of discussion going to be next week?
Well, we're going to continue to be focused on jobs, and jobs, what we can do with the attraction of making Missouri an employer-friendly state relative to our sister states. That involves our tax code, that involves regulatory reform, and we'll also start really delving into redistricting. We're supposed to be getting that data either next week or the following week, and because of the process of redrawing our congressional districts is going to be tedious and long, we're going to have to start that process in the state of Missouri, so we'll be busy with that.
Well, Senator, thanks so much for the visit. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
You too, Mark, and thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day coming up.
And again, that state's